spins and spins, and we are live. Kevin,
We
what's
are
happening?
live. We're live and we're back. It's been a couple of weeks since we've seen one another, seen everybody, but we took off Valentine's Day and the NXT pay-per-view last week and Super Bowl the week before. So I'm happy to be back talking wrestling with you and everybody out there.
I'm just happy to have power. How about you, brother?
And I'm sure a lot of you who are watching are in the same boat. Maybe I'm giving this show tonight, Elimination Chamber, a little more of a pass just because I was eager to be entertained. 6 days without power.
Oh my goodness, I didn't have 6 days. I had 3, but wow.
It was fairly miserable. It actually put things in perspective. Today around 4 o'clock, the internet went out, so I watched all this for you guys. I wanted a Two Bros show so bad, I did it on my phone, used my data as I'm using right now in order to enjoy some wrestling action. But yeah, compared to Power, having a little bit of difficulty being entertained as opposed to seeing your breath in your own home.
Right.
Much improved, but we're here to talk Elimination Chamber, folks. Hopefully, if you've had power or not had power, you were able to be entertained tonight. We're going to talk winners, losers, give some match ratings and the like. But before we get into spoiler territory, if you're just watching this to see whether or not you should watch Elimination Chamber, Doug, what do you think? Overall show review.
You know, here's my thing about the WWE at this point. I think that they have a proven cash generating machine at this point. They have multiple deals with their TV deals and everything. I remember, and I know you do too, that pay-per-views used to be a big deal, man. The WWE pay-per-views were paper deals, I just called them. Pay-per-view deals were a big deal. I just did it again. Pay-per-view deals I did it again.
Pay-per-view events were big deals.
Yes, they were.
They were.
You know, there was big build to them. There was you would see match quality that you just would not see on TV. I said this at the last month at the Royal Rumble. I mean, you know, it's the past couple of like WWE pay-per-views, not the NXT pay-per-views, but the main roster pay-per-views. It's just like I'm watching TV on a Monday or Friday, and for the most part, I think that's what we got again tonight. I mean, we had some title changes, which we'll get into, but you know, for the most part. Again, I'm saying, you know, pass, you know, you can watch us. We'll tell you what's going on, what you missed. But, you know, unless you're just a diehard and you're going to watch it on your phone, if you don't have internet, you can pass. That's me on this one, though. How about you?
You know, this mark here, again, maybe I was just eager to be entertained. I think I'm sort of thumbs in the middle, but leaning towards suggesting that if you're out there, you have the network, watch the show, because to me there was nothing in the way of match quality that blew me away. There's no must-see matches. There's no the work rate was average at best. And again, we'll get into match by match, but I was entertained from beginning to end, and I think that because to me this pay-per-view, if Royal Rumble is the start to the road to WrestleMania, Elimination Chamber is the most important stop along the way to the road to WrestleMania. And even though there were no matches that I would say go out of your way to see, I have a hard time not giving a slight thumbs up to the pay-per-view as a whole, because storyline-wise, there was a lot of WrestleMania storylines, plot points that were put out there tonight. So just from a storytelling perspective, I think that this was a significant pay-per-view, much more so from that storyline point of view than anything to do with anything that happened match-wise in the ring tonight. So slight thumbs up.
Yeah. I guess I'm just a grumpy old Mark at this point.
You are.
I am, and I own it. I mean, it's like they don't even try. They don't need to sell pay-per-views anymore. They have so many TV deals. You know, they can slightly push things forward towards WrestleMania, which really is. I hope it's a big deal this year, but I have my doubts. But I'm getting ahead of myself. We're talking about Elimination Chamber tonight.
And it is worth saying that this is the last pay-per-view of the WWE Network era as we know it. So, if nothing else, this is probably what the Elimination Chamber 2021 will be most remembered for as the final pay-per-view of the WWE Network era before everything switches over to Peacock. Which again, we're getting ahead of ourselves. We're going to have a whole show on that for folks, but. So you kind of got, I think, from Doug and I, a sense of where we are with this one. I think Doug's trending more down. I'm trending more, maybe positive, but we're both, neither were overly impressed with any in-ring action tonight. So now that we have that kind of overcap review, let's talk match by match, Doug.
Let's do it. And I just want to say I have continued my streak. I've got an Undertaker-like streak of missing the pregame, the pre-show. And I'm happy to say I did that again tonight. The streak is not broken. I missed, the pay-per-view. Is it pregame, pre-show? What is it? Anyway, whatever it is, I missed it yet again.
Well, this mark on his phone got you covered. So. The pre-show match this time around was Ricochet versus Mustafa Ali versus Elias versus John Morrison, and this match was a fatal four-way with the winner going on to the main pay-per-view card to participate in the U.S. title match. As many of you who are watching this probably are aware, Keith Lee was supposed to be in that match due to injury, was not able to participate. So I actually like the match because those three of the, well, actually all four guys are good athletes. Three of the four are probably three of the better athletes on the entire WWE roster. So the action was good. Because it was a pre-show match, it probably didn't have enough time to be as good as it could have been. But there was a particularly brutal spot by Ricochet where he took a back bump, without any arms up or anything, right into the ring post on the outside. So that might have been the toughest looking spot of the night, and it took place on the pre-show. And there was something on the line, which, normally those pre-show matches are not that consequential. So there was actually something they were fighting for. So if you got 10 minutes, which is about all the whole match lasted, check it out. But John Morrison is your winner. That was a little surprising because, booking wise, nothing against John Morrison, but I thought that maybe a Ricochet or somebody might be a better fill-in for Keith Lee, somebody who, still needs to be ascended. And whereas John Morrison's probably had his bigger days behind him, but John Morrison, he continues on to the main show.
Don't you think that kind of telegraphed what was coming, though, when, you get a John Morrison in there instead of, like you say, like a Ricochet or somebody like that? Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But, main show. Main show kicks off with the first Elimination Chamber match, which was, Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn versus Baron Corbin, Jimmy Uso, Daniel Bryan, and Cesaro. And the winner of this one, Doug, was to get a title match on the card against Roman Reigns for the Universal Championship. Your winner, Daniel Bryan.
And let me say, this was probably my favorite match of the night. I would call this match of the night in my book. Again, I'm saying, this, you could have seen this on TV. You don't get to see Cesaro go head to head with Daniel Bryan that much. It's happened a few times recently, but I mean, everybody with the exception of Corbin in my book, nothing against the guy as a human being or whatever, but the character I do not care for. Not really big on his in-ring work either, but I'm sure he's a cool guy or whatever outside the ring. But the other guys in here, my goodness, and he's the first one to get eliminated and taking
Corbin
it too right. Yeah, Corbin. It was good stuff. That did entertain me. But
yeah, it was a good start to the pay-per-view. I agree with you. It was my favorite match too. I liked that they started with Bryan and Cesaro.
Right.
I really liked actually Bryan in particular took a real beating there in that first half of the match. And I thought that in particular, if there was, he didn't win, but if you want to go out of your way to finally, I don't want to get my hopes up that they're finally, believing in Cesaro and doing something with him. But I think the man who looked the strongest in this contest beginning to end would have probably been Cesaro. Mm-hmm. The pinballing that he did back and forth with Sami's head inside the chamber, the pull-ups, he was doing the pull-ups.
Yes, from the top of the chamber.
From the top of the chamber. So yeah, Cesaro looked like $1 million in this one to me.
He really did. You know, I gotta say, I love Sammy's heel work, and Sammy was on point tonight with his heel work. You know, on point as always. But
I did like the KO moonsault off the pod too. I thought that was a sweet spot.
Yeah.
The gut buster from the top rope that Cesaro did, again, just Cesaro looking like $1 million in this. For a while there, you know, Uso looked like it might be, cousin versus cousin again. I thought, are they going to go the direction of Uso deciding to, you know, to get a little starry-eyed and want that title more than the loyalty, and then you know, Bryan won, which was kind of a pleasant surprise from where I thought they were going, but based on the last two guys in the ring, but quickly dissipated any momentum that they might have given to Bryan by winning this, because they immediately went from the match into the title contest, which really was more of an angle than it was an actual title match. But gosh, Doug, I gotta say, I like the idea of like the opportunistic Roman Reigns, like taking advantage of a man who'd been in there an hour.
Let me tell you, man, Roman Reigns, heel Reigns, continues to impress and delight me to no end.
And truly, this is where I'm thinking that, to me, this pay-per-view, if you were going to find it entertaining, was more for the stories being told than the matches. This was the best match.
Yeah.
This was definitely the best match. And in fact, not just the best of the night. It was a good match, a good chamber match. But the fact that Reigns would take advantage of a situation where Daniel Bryan would be totally exhausted and come out and immediately start beating on the guy. Of course, the match doesn't go anytime that Roman Reigns wins. That is exactly what you want from your top heel. I mean, as you said, he is just doing the best work of his career right now, and has all the momentum going into WrestleMania. And again, storyline-wise, that match at the end of the Elimination Chamber was an angle, because now we know, as if we were not starting to get some hints on regular television, but it was made pretty obvious what the path to WrestleMania is now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'd almost forgotten about it. the post match where Edge pops up.
Edge pops up. He does his spear, and then, of course, when you point at the sign, you and I, we all know that that's as good as signing. I mean, that's a legal document in most courts of law.
It really is. You point at the sign, it's on.
And apparently, Edge surprised everyone with his decision except the pyro guy, because the fireworks were ready as he pointed at the sign.
Hey, those pyro guys are on it. They are on point. Game on point.
What do you think about that, Doug, going WrestleMania? Maybe not the way any of us saw it going, a few weeks back before Royal Rumble, but
this is true. You know, I'm good with this. You know, I want to see Roman Reigns continue on. I don't think Edge needs a championship run. I think I'm already calling this one, I guess, ahead of time. So consider this, you know, it's not a prediction; it's a spoiler. But the tribal chief will come out on top at WrestleMania. Edge will do everything to put him over and make him look like $1 million to continue this money-making machine that is heel Roman Reigns.
I gotta say that I did not see, the road to WrestleMania being Roman Reigns versus Edge.
Right.
I think we had a few other possible opponents, whether it be The Rock or returning, the other Uso that that we're waiting to see how he comes back and folds in with his brother and all that. I don't know, the redemption story of a guy making a comeback after already making a comeback and then winning the Royal Rumble, and knowing the guy can still go and still deliver on the mic. I'm actually thinking that this might be all right for the next month and a half as we gear towards Mania.
Mm-hmm. Yep. What do we have next?
Next is the U.S. Championship match. Now, this was originally going to be Bobby Lashley defending against Keith Lee and Riddle. And I honestly think that, again, injuries can't be helped, but I think storyline-wise, this match would have been better had it had Keith Lee in it, because Keith Lee has had some issues with the Hurt Business, has had some, a little bit of tension with Riddle and a history with Riddle. And so inserting John Morrison in there, I think, kind of threw off the dynamic of that three-way a little bit. And again, nothing against John Morrison, who's an incredible talent and wrestler.
Absolutely. Let's just say everything is a little bit better with Keith Lee in it, though.
That is very, very true. And it's poor Keith. I mean, his wife had COVID-19, which is what caused him to miss the Royal Rumble, so he didn't get to participate in that, and then legit gets injured before he gets into his match at the Elimination Chamber. So who knows what the real plan has been this time for Keith Lee moving into WrestleMania season. There were some rumors that he was a favorite to actually get the push out of Mania, at least have a big, out of Rumble, at least have a big Rumble, if not even be a potential winner for Rumble. And so I have a feeling that poor Keith Lee is going to find himself lower down on the WrestleMania card just because of his inability to participate in a lot of the pre-Mania pay-per-views.
Well, that, and if word on the street and on the internet dirt sheets is anything, apparently Vince just doesn't get it and has gone cold on him anyway. So
that makes zero sense to
zero sense. But
if you've ever seen the man work, but the match that was,
we're talking more about a man who wasn't in the match than the actual match itself.
Well, and there's probably more to say about the outcome of the match than the match itself. The match itself was nothing to write home about at all.
Yeah.
The significant thing really in this is that you have a new U.S. champion, and Matt Riddle is not only a money act and a good guy, but he is one that apparently, if the dirt sheets are correct, Vince McMahon really likes. If you also have read in the dirt sheets, Vince isn't quite sure why he likes him, but he likes him. He finds him humorous. I don't know that what he thinks about the in-ring work, which of course is stellar and very MMA based, but he finds the man himself entertaining. And so this might be the start of a push because, again, storyline wise, this is what the night is about. It's important because Matt Riddle has yet to win any championship in his time with WWE. And so they have put the ball in his court and shown some confidence in Riddle moving on and towards WrestleMania season as your new United States champion, which is really cool. I like it.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like a Hulk smash, Bobby Lashley reactions to losing. And to be clear, Bobby Lashley didn't take the pin.
He did not. And, John Morrison was there to take the pin. Who knows if that had been the case, if it had been Keith Lee in there or not, where Keith would have been more of a competitive member, possibility with that. Maybe I'm fantasy booking here and just hopeful, but trying to salvage WrestleMania season for Keith Lee, I'd be completely fine if Keith Lee, unable to participate in the title match, and his buddy, his longtime indie friend, Matt Riddle comes in and takes that if Keith doesn't saddle up next to him and ask for his shot since he didn't get to participate in tonight's match. They have a history. Check it out, folks, on the WWE Network or YouTube or wherever. I mean, there are some great independent wrestling matches and Evolve and Progress and such where you can watch Matt Riddle versus Keith Lee. But to see them do it on the big stage, on the biggest of stages, WrestleMania, that has me hopeful. I don't know if that's the direction they go, but fingers crossed it is.
I would be happy with that.
That's a Mania contest to me. Next, Doug, you have the only real women's action tonight because I guess we should also say not only was Keith Lee unable to participate in his match for a real injury, but the original match that we were also supposed to get for the Raw Women's Championship of Asuka versus Lacey Evans didn't happen for storyline reasons because Ric Flair is going to be a daddy, maybe. I'm sorry that watching Ric Flair slapping around on himself and wooing and calling himself daddy at 70 whatever years old, it cracks me up. I shouldn't be amused by it, but I am amused by it.
It's professional wrestling, so
and it's Ric Flair. So what do you want to do?
Exactly.
But so the only women's action we got on this card, Doug, and it's kind of surprising that there was two men elimination chamber matches and no women's elimination chamber matches. But all we got was the women's tag championships of Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler versus the EST and Sasha, and the champs retain in this one. Again, I considering the women involved, I kind of had hoped for a better match, but it was kind of methodical.
It was, and you had like the accidental shenanigans costing the boss the win. So I don't.
Also, I didn't like, and this is not the fault of the women in the ring, but this is just the fault of the way that management books the announcers and programs the announcers. There were twice in this match where it was they gave away the near fall that was actually would have been believable had they not said, and for the championships, they're going to win it. And that is a dead giveaway in wrestling. And they did it several times tonight, just during this match. I just made a note of it during this match. But yeah, they did it at least 2 or 3 times tonight. And it's, if we all know it, you'd think that Vince and the producers would also know it, and why they continue to do that to the detriment of the product is just bonkers to me.
Yeah, that happened so many times when anybody would put. I definitely noticed it in the last Elimination Chamber. Anytime somebody would put Drew McIntyre down and go for a pin, they're like, "We're gonna have a new champion."
Yeah.
No,
we're not. Not now. Now that you've said it. There was no new champion in the women's match. If anything, I think that, then of course there's that Reginald nonsense, which kind of also, it wasn't exactly setting the world on fire as a match anyway, but then when that's your ending, that's definitely a flat ending. I think to me, the most surprising thing in this is I was rather surprised that they didn't pull a trigger or tease or anything on an EST boss Mania match. Are you kind of surprised that the match kind of came and went without advancing that storyline any?
I am, but they want to. It's so bizarre to me how WWE is drawing some things out, like Edge pulling the trigger, and they could have probably drawn that out for another week and had him do that on Friday night on SmackDown. Just to pull in some ratings again. But I guess they're gonna play that out with the EST, and let her do her thing on Friday night. I don't know.
Yeah, there was no advancement, I guess, in their storyline tonight, other than they fought together, they lost together. There was no miscommunication. No one accidentally hit anyone else. There was not anything along those lines. The match itself, nothing to talk about. But this last match, there is a lot to talk about.
There is.
There is a lot to talk about. Surprised when it started because I thought to myself, man, last time Doug and I had one of these things at Royal Rumble, Facebook canceled our Two Bros show because we were late going live because the pay-per-view lasted so long. And I'm looking at my watch and it's like, it's right now. It's not even 10 o'clock.
Exactly.
And we're on here talking to you. So at least it was mercifully short tonight since the action wasn't anything to write home about. But of course, the last match, Doug, is the big match, the main event. Drew defending his WWE Championship against Randy Orton, Sheamus, Kofi Kingston, Jeff Hardy, and AJ Styles. And the winner of this match was Drew coming out your champion. And I will say that I did like the juxtaposition, again, to not being all about story, but the way they juxtapositioned the two champions. You have one who refused to participate in his chamber match and took the cowardly way out of beating up a man that was pretty much dead on his feet. And then you have the fighting champion who went in to the Elimination Chamber to defend his title against nothing but former champions, which I thought was a pretty cool story to tell.
Absolutely. And he just looked great through the entire match. I mean, I still think we could have saw this on TV at any given time with any of these guys. Although, man, Sheamus's chest looked like somebody took a cheese grater to it by the end of it. I'm like, how did this happen? I've been watching this whole thing. How is he all like battered and bloody? What happened to this poor guy?
Because he's white Irish.
My
you
goodness.
touch him and a bruise shows up, right?
And I literally blinked and missed Randy Orton's elimination. I'm not
And
even
I
sure how
made
that
a
happened.
note to myself that Hardy Orton started, but to me the most shocking moment of the match was Randy Orton, who to me was one of the more legit, I guess, believable. If anybody was going to have Drew in jeopardy, I would have thought that Sheamus or Orton would probably be the only guys out of this match that legitimately at this point in time they would put the belt on. And so to see him be first eliminated on a roll up by Kofi Kingston was shocking. And then also shocking, Doug, and this goes back to my last match question to you, where you're shocked not to see any advancement of the storyline with Bianca and Sasha. But if Orton was to be eliminated earlier, wouldn't you have expected some flashing lights and some Alexa Bliss?
I would have, but again, it's so confusing. Because they don't need to do stuff on pay-per-views now. I guess they need to do more things on TV to advance television than they do pay-per-views.
There was no
I
hint
don't
of the
know. I
Fiend.
don't understand some of the WWE storytelling anymore because they don't actually need to do the things that we have been programmed as as lifelong marks to expect. They don't need to do those things now. So it's like, I don't know.
I fully expected that they would at least talk about the Fiend, stalking and haunting Randy Orton and making them paranoid. I don't even know, and sometimes I can tune the announcing out, to be quite honest. But
Right.
if they mentioned Bray Wyatt, I don't
I don't
remember it.
think so. Of course, again, I blinked and it completely missed Orton's elimination.
He was out actually kind of early
Yes.
in this contest. I did like I thought there was a pretty cool trust fall splash from the top of the pod by Kofi Kingston, who I think, athletically speaking, probably had the best match of any of these guys. Even more so than AJ, who I might have expected to be that guy, but it was Kofi tonight. Sheamus at one point though needs to maybe cover his mouth or learn some ventriloquism. But when you actually announce Brogue Kick, get your hands up, like where I can hear it on my phone, I'm like, man, you're not even trying to hide the call of that spot.
Yeah.
Apparently though, Drew didn't hear him because he took the Brogue Kick, but he did not get his hands up.
He didn't. No.
He didn't. Honestly, I thought there were more memorable spots in the first contest, didn't you?
Absolutely.
Yeah, the first elimination chamber had it over this one.
Yeah, watching it, I was like, this one, the first one, to start the show was much better than the last one. And I really did love the way it ended with it reminded me of something Randy Orton asked, where he can hit that RKO out of nowhere when McIntyre hits a Claymore on a AJ Styles that's flying towards him. That looked really cool.
Yeah, it wasn't bad. It just didn't live up to the first one. And what I had as a note, of course, I would quickly need to mark this out, but my last note was more memorable spots in first chamber, unsurprising winner, unclear who's the natural Mania opponent for Drew at this point, and then mark out. So if you didn't watch, folks, at the end of the match where there wasn't a lot of intrigue as to who would win, Drew won as most probably expected he would. Bobby Lashley enters the contest, at the end of the match, and irritated about losing his U.S. Championship earlier, and I guess in my mind declaring that he is the new opponent for Drew. I thought, oh, is that where they're going for Mania? Right. I could see that.
And then you're starting to do your WWE math. Okay, he drops a belt earlier in the night, so now he's elevated to the title picture with this.
Yeah, he's not going for a rematch. I'm declaring I want Drew at Mania. Okay.
But we have that throwback to earlier in the night where we see MVP chatting with The Miz, and then you're like, oh, that's going to happen, isn't it? Because the Hurt Business, Bobby. Oh, okay, that's what's. Hold on, that's happening, isn't it? It's happening.
The money in the bank gimmick. In the past it has been used creatively. Overall, this last year, I thought they kind of dropped the ball on the gimmick. Otis winning it was, they did nothing with Otis as the Money in the Bank, and I guess they realized that was going nowhere. So they had this very convoluted storyline to get the briefcase off of Otis and to Miz. And honestly, Miz and Morrison have just kind of filled their time in my mind as like these talk show guys that are there for more comedy. It has been a long time since Miz has probably been considered main event level.
Yes.
His heel work is great. I mean, he's a perfect annoying heel, a great talker, always has been, and I think in some ways is underrated in the ring. I mean, when he actually gets a chance to shine out there, he does and can. I have to say, even though he's hung in the background with that briefcase for a good portion of the last 5 months or so, I didn't see this coming, despite how often they've teased that it might be coming. I just, this close to Mania, out of nowhere, Miz, who hasn't been main event since a Mania, 6 years ago now, right, when he and Cena, I mean, that was the kind of last that he was main event. I think the next year he was in a tag match with his wife against Cena, and
that's right, yeah.
And then that was it. Everything since has been mid card until tonight.
Well, when we now have a new Raw champion.
We now have a new Raw champion, and I have to say, I mean, I don't know that I like it. I will say that I was surprised, and if being surprised counts for anything these days, when a lot of it is predictable, I'm like, okay, let's see where they go with that, because I don't know that I see the road to WrestleMania as clearly right now on the Raw side as I thought we'd have. Do you see Drew in a rematch? Do you see Miz holding on to this? Do you see Bobby Lashley and Drew in some sort of grudge contest, and Miz going off and doing something on his own with another opponent?
I don't see that. Here's what I'm thinking, because we have MVP who clearly did the inception with Miz there about midway through the show when we see MVP and Miz chatting. We have Bobby Lashley, who's lost the belt, goes in a logical big brute of a man to go against our fighting champion.
Yeah. You and I've talked on many occasions since Bobby Lashley's return to WWE that he deserved more than where his spot on the card was. Like, he looks like the main event kind of guy and hadn't got there yet. So I was actually like, all right, okay, yeah, beat on Drew.
So I'm wondering if MVP cuts some sort of a deal in the background, saying, okay, for storyline, here's what we do. I'll send the Walking Armageddon Bobby Lashley out there to completely destroy whoever is the winner of this Elimination Chamber and walks out with the championship. Lashley will destroy them. You can walk in, pick the bones, get the championship. However, first title defense is against the Hurt Business.
I can easily see we do have one more stop on the road to WrestleMania, so you have to have something intriguing for that. You want to get Mania booked out as far in advance as you can, so it's always kind of awkward to have that one pay-per-view that's a little too close to Mania, where what do you do that you don't completely reshuffle the deck and hold a few cards back that you can play? You could main event that with Miz versus Bobby Lashley.
And then you've got Morrison, and by that time maybe Ty Valkyrie on the main card, because she is, by all accounts, headed to the WWE. So you have that tiny stable against the Hurt Business stable, and then you also have Drew McIntyre then interfering with that match to cause something to drive maybe a three-way into WrestleMania to make it a little bit more compelling. So,
or you have a three-way at Fastlane, because Miz has promised John Morrison that when he cashes in the Money in the Bank and wins, that calls "You're helping me, buddy. First title shot goes to you." So maybe you have a Morrison Miz Bobby Lashley match at Fastlane, or sometime before then, where not only does Lashley go over, and then Drew becomes the chaser for that belt, but maybe you have a falling out between.
We have a falling out with Miz and Morrison. Then we have a Morrison Ty Valkyrie Miz Maurice WrestleMania.
I
No,
can see that. I can see that.
I can too.
So we definitely have ourselves a speed bump on the road to WrestleMania in a very unforeseen, whether we should have seen it or not, circumstance of and right now, if WrestleMania were to happen today, your WWE champion is The Miz.
And with that, I think that's a great place to end tonight.
That's where WWE ended it tonight, so that's where we'll end it too. The next couple of weeks, Doug, we're going to be back at our normal time. It's
We are
been a
back.
long time since we've had a typical 8 o'clock live broadcast on a specific topic. So we've done a couple of weeks off, and between that, the holidays, our award show, post pay-per-view reviews. I'm kind of excited. The next couple of weeks, we got some really big topics, including a follow-up on our pandemic show from last year, where 1 year in, believe it or not, we're going to be looking at the world of wrestling and how it's being handled in the pandemic. Now that there's some light at the end of the tunnel, now that we've had a year under our belts, a lot of things have changed in the way that the different promotions are handling the pandemic, getting back to business, and bringing fans back in some occasions. So we're going to look at all of that. At 1 year in, and see where we're at and what we like and what we don't. And then, Doug, our other topic that we're going to be talking about, because it's going to affect all of us that is watching this, but since we're all probably network subscribers as well, we're going to let everyone out there know all the details behind the big news in wrestling over the last couple of months, and that is the deal between WWE and NBC Universal. We'll let you guys know everything that you need in order to be able to make sure your subscription switches over, everything about this deal, why it's good for WWE, why it's good for NBC, why it's good for fans, why it's maybe not so good for everybody, and what equipment do you need, because you can't watch it on Peacock right now on everything that you watch the WWE Network on. So we're going to go over all those little nuances of this deal, and hope that you'll join us and talk to us a little bit as we go through all of that. That's the next couple of weeks of the Two Bros Wrestling Show at 8 o'clock.
Man, we've got a lot going on the next couple of weeks.
We better prepare, keep our power on, hopefully get our Wi-Fi back.
Yes, I can make no promises about any of that, Wi-Fi, power, or me being prepared, but I'm sure we'll make every effort on all of those things. But until next week, everybody, stay warm, stay safe.
See ya.
See ya.